If reality is not what you think it is, then what is truly real? That question may come to you in the quiet of an early morning, while washing your face with cool water. It may arise as you watch a leaf fall gently from the branch, spinning in the wind, then resting quietly on the moist earth. A leaf, is it truly real? A speck of dust, is it truly real? And the thing you call I, me, myself, is it real? When you begin to ask such questions, you have already begun to see. And when you sense that something deeper is moving beneath all appearances, you are ready for a beautiful meeting. A meeting between modern science and the ancient wisdom of the Buddha. We often think that physics and meditation travel on separate roads. One is filled with formulas, particles, energy, light, and quantum fields. The other is woven with breath, mindfulness, compassion, and letting go. But if you breathe deeply and sit very still, you may discover that these two roads can meet right in this present moment. Today's video is not a lesson in quantum mechanics, nor is it merely a teaching on emptiness in Buddhism. It is an open doorway, an invitation to sit down, breathe deeply, and look deeply. We will journey into a space where the boundary between science and spirituality dissolves like morning mist. There, you will see that a photon can be both wave and particle, just as your mind can be both still and flowing. You will see that nothing exists on its own, but only through interbeing, just as a flower needs sunlight, soil, seed, and even the one who looks at it in order to bloom. This video is shared by the channel TT Buddhism, a space where the simple yet profound insights of the Buddha are offered, told gently through the breath of daily life. You are warmly invited to come along, not to seek an answer, but to realize that a question can itself be a doorway into the wondrous reality of life, where you don't need to be anyone special, you just need to be present and truly alive. Part 1. Emptiness. A doorway into reality. When some people hear the word emptiness, they may feel uneasy, even afraid. They think emptiness means a void, a kind of nothingness, or a denial of life. But in the Buddha's teachings, emptiness is not cold, nor is it despair. Emptiness is a doorway that opens into a spacious, vast, and deeply loving way of seeing. In Sanskrit, the word shunyata, which we translate as emptiness, does not mean that nothing exists. It means the absence of a separate, independent self-nature. No phenomenon exists on its own. Everything arises through conditions, through interbeing. The Buddha called this dependent origination. All things arise in dependence on many causes and conditions. It's like a song. It cannot exist without lyrics, melody, the one who sings it, the one who listens, and even the silence that surrounds it. You can look deeply into yourself. You are not here only because of your parents. You are here because of the earth, the water, the sun, the air, and the life of countless ancestors in every cell of your body. There is nothing in you that is truly separate. And because of that, you are never alone. Let's take something very simple, like the chair you are sitting on. At first glance, it seems solid, separate, and complete in itself. But if you look more deeply, you'll see this chair is not just a chair. It is wood from a tree that once stood tall in the forest. It is the carpenter, their skillful hands, sharp eyes, and intention to create something beautiful. It is sunlight and rain, weather that helped the tree grow. It is time, intention, and the tools passed down through generations. All of these, though not the chair itself, are present in the chair. So, is the chair still an independent thing? Or is it a momentary expression of countless causes? The chair is like that. You are like that. I am like that. When you look into a flower and see the clouds within it, you have already begun to see emptiness. Because without clouds, there would be no rain. And without rain, no water for the seed. Without warm soil, the seed cannot sprout. Without sunlight, the bud cannot reach upward. And without someone to care for it, even just a loving gaze, the flower may wither before it ever blooms. So, the flower cannot exist by itself. The flower is the earth, the water, the sunlight, the gardener's hand, and the one who looks at it with love. If you can see all of these within the flower, you have already touched emptiness. And likewise, if you can see many people within one person, if you can see ancestors in the eyes of a child, if you can see love in a small, quiet gesture, then you are already living with the insight of emptiness, which is also the insight of prajna paramita, the perfection of wisdom. Emptiness does not deny life. Emptiness makes life more alive, more flexible, more miraculous, because when you no longer cling to the ideas of I, me, and mine, you become free. Free to love without conditions. Free to live deeply in each moment, without needing to hold on to anything. It is through seeing emptiness that your heart becomes lighter, because you understand that you do not have to carry the world on your own. Everything is leaning on everything else. And this life, this very breath of yours, is nothing less than the miraculous coming together of the entire cosmos. Part 2, Quantum Physics. Particles of time and transformation. There are insights in modern science that are truly beautiful, not because they are complex, but because they help us touch the wonder of life, just as it is. Scientists have discovered something remarkable. A particle of light called a photon can behave as both a particle and a wave, depending on how you observe it. When you are not looking, it is a wave, spacious, fluid, without a fixed form. But when you look, it becomes a particle, specific, measurable, seemingly solid. Your act of observing changes the nature of what appears. This is not unfamiliar to those who practice mindfulness. When you look into yourself, do you see only a body? Or do you also see feelings, thoughts, joy and sorrow, childhood memories, unfulfilled dreams, and lost love? The self is like the photon. It is not fixed, not singular. It shifts depending on how you look. Then there is the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. It says you cannot measure both the position and the momentum of a particle at the same time. The more you try to grasp it, the more it slips away. Just like a feeling inside you, the more you try to hold it, the more it fades. The more you try to control, the more suffering arises. Life does not stand still. Everything is flowing like a river, like a cloud. Nothing is solid. Nothing stays the same. When you see this clearly, you are no longer lost in craving or fear. You begin to learn how to live with impermanence as if it were an old friend. And then comes something truly mysterious, known as quantum entanglement. Two particles, even when separated by vast distances, can still affect one another instantaneously. A change here leads to a change there. No delay, no signal needed. It may sound like a myth, but it is a measured reality. and it reminds us of something in our daily lives. A single word of truth, spoken with care, can change the direction of someone's life. A look of deep understanding and love can heal a wound that has been carried for lifetimes. You don't need to touch in order to truly touch. Quantum physics is not just information. It is a gentle reminder that you are not separate from this world, that every glance, every thought, every breath you take is already shaping the flow of life. Part 3. When Buddhism and science touch, there is something truly wondrous. Though they begin on seemingly different paths, one from modern science, the other from the ancient teachings of the Buddha, they arrive at the same quiet, profound place. A place where we are no longer observers standing outside of life as if it were a distant movie, but instead participants, breathing within the very heart of reality as it reveals itself. In quantum physics, scientists have discovered something quite mysterious. Before anyone observes it, a particle is not really a particle. It exists only as a possibility, as a wave of potential. But the moment someone looks, measures, asks, the wave collapses and becomes a specific, solid particle. The act of observation changes what appears. The world doesn't simply present itself to us. We help bring it into form by the way we look. In Buddhism, this is not a surprising idea. The Buddha taught, mind is the forerunner of all things. Mind creates all. This means the world you are experiencing is not just out there. It's the world filtered through your eyes, your thoughts, your memories, your fears, your love. If you are filled with fear, the world you see will reflect that fear. If you are dwelling in peace, the world around you begins to breathe in that same calm rhythm. The world you see is truly the world within you. When you look at someone with judgment, they appear distorted, confined by your idea of them. But if you look at them with understanding and compassion, they are free to grow, to change, even to become something new. Your mind does not merely reflect the world, it shapes it. And this leads us to another truth. Reality is not bound by fixed dualities. Wave or particle? Yes, both. It depends on how you look. In quantum physics, a photon can behave as either a wave or a particle. It doesn't have to choose. Buddhism calls this the middle way, not clinging to extremes of existence or non-existence, right or wrong, solid or void, not needing to fit reality into a fixed category, but living mindfully in the space between open, free, awake. When you live with this kind of seeing, you don't need to label everything. A sadness doesn't have to be a problem. It can be a doorway to understanding. A mistake doesn't mean failure. It can be the beginning of compassion. Reality doesn't need to be perfect to be beautiful. It just needs to be seen with loving awareness, without grasping or pushing away. The phrase, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, from the Heart Sutra, may sound confusing to the analytical mind. But when heard through the heart that has lived deeply, it becomes a luminous truth. Form means the visible, the tangible, the body, the flower, the mountain. Emptiness means the absence of a separate, fixed self, the interbeing of all things. A flower is a form, but within the flower, you can see the cloud, the rain, the soil, the sun, the gardener's hand, and the loving gaze of the one who beholds it. Without those elements, there is no flower. So the flower is form, but also is emptiness, because it cannot exist alone. In quantum physics, there is a parallel idea. Scientists speak of the quantum field, an invisible sea of energy that fills all of space. From this field, particles appear like waves rising from a vast ocean. A particle does not exist independently. It is a temporary expression of the field. Just as a wave cannot exist apart from the water, a person cannot exist apart from the world that sustains them. In Buddhism, the quantum field is like mind, not individual mind, but the vast open field of awareness, of knowing, of love. Mind is not something you can touch or point to, but it is where every thought arises. It is where a smile is born, where a hurtful word takes shape, where healing begins. Mind is the field, and every experience, every action, every moment is a ripple upon its surface. When you see deeply in this way, you no longer feel that science and Buddhism are strangers to one another. Instead, you see something simple and profound. Both are pointing toward the same truth, that the world is not fixed, that everything is connected, and that you are already part of the unfolding mystery. And if you listen carefully, you'll hear both science and the Buddha whisper the same invitation. Be here, be open, let go of needing to grasp, and look at the world as you would look at a flower, with gratitude, and without needing to possess. Part 4. Application and transformation. Something very beautiful begins to unfold when you start to see that everything in life arises through conditions. This insight is not just intellectual, it softens the heart. It helps release blame, pride, and even shame. You begin to understand everything, even a tear, is the result of many causes coming together. If someone hurts you with their words, you may pause and see. Maybe they were in pain that day, and perhaps that pain was not born only in that moment, but came from a long stream of causes: their childhood, their loneliness, wounds never healed. Even your own outburst, a word you wish you hadn't spoken, may have come from sleeplessness, a forgotten sadness, or a memory rising unexpectedly from the deep. When you see the nature of interbeing, you no longer need to blame. Not others, not yourself. You also stop clinging to personal pride. Your success is not yours alone. It came with the quiet support of a mother, the inspiration of a teacher, timely opportunities, a healthy body you didn't create. So you bow not in submission, but in gratitude. Seeing in this way, your heart becomes softer, not weak, but soft like moist earth, where any seed, even a small one, can take root and grow. Quantum physics reminds us that nothing is truly certain. A particle doesn't have a fixed location. Outcomes are probabilities, not guarantees. This sounds abstract, but it brings us very close to the Buddhist teaching of impermanence. The Buddha teaches that all things are impermanent. This body, this feeling, this relationship, this success, everything is changing. If we don't see this, we suffer because we hold on. But when we truly see impermanence, we can let go of what has passed and not grasp at what has not yet come. When you see that nothing is fixed, you begin to trust in the present moment, not because it will last forever, but because it is real and it is here. And when you are truly present for this moment, even a breeze can make you smile. Even a bird's song can carry you home. Reality does not need to be explained before it can be loved. It does not need to be measured before it can be touched. You simply need to be present and recognize that you are alive. And that, in itself, is a miracle. Mindfulness is the bridge from knowledge to insight, from science to living, from information to transformation. When you breathe in and know that you are breathing in, when you breathe out and know that you are breathing out, you do not need to be a physicist or a philosopher. You only need to come home. Come home to your body, to your breath, to your steps, to the cup of tea warming your palms. You do not need to measure the vibrational frequency of a lotus to know that it is beautiful. You only need to breathe and look deeply, and you will see that lotus is made of sunlight, soil, rain, time, and love. It is a silent poem, an expression of emptiness, of impermanence, of interbeing, wrapped in a gentle form. Mindfulness doesn't just bring calm, it brings wisdom. You begin to see what really matters. You stop rushing. You no longer need to prove yourself. You live each moment with a heart that is spacious, as if every second is a precious chance to love. When you live with mindfulness, you no longer see yourself as a separate being. You begin to sense your connection with all things, with the cloud drifting above, with the drop of water below, with the breath of the person beside you. And that insight, that deep knowing of interbeing, makes you kinder, gentler, more alive. You don't need to escape this life to find enlightenment. You only need to touch this life deeply as it is. And when you do, you will see science and the Buddha's path are not two separate roads. They are two arms, one of wisdom, one of compassion, embracing the same miraculous life. Part 5. The future of science and spirituality. Have you ever wondered, if science can take us to the moon and build machines that peer into the heart of an atom, then why do we still suffer? Why, in this dazzling age of knowledge and discovery, do so many people feel lost, even in the middle of their own lives? This question is not meant to diminish the value of science. It is simply a gentle reminder. Understanding alone is not enough. There are wounds that no machine can measure. There are silences that no formula can explain. There are empty spaces in the human heart that can only be filled by understanding and love. Perhaps this is why meetings between His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, and modern scientists began to take place. Not to argue, not to prove one side right, but to sit together as human beings with open hearts and ask, how can we understand ourselves more deeply? How can we love one another more wisely? These conversations did not stay confined to auditoriums and research halls. They opened quiet doors in education, in medicine, in the way we see one another and ourselves. They gave rise to new kinds of schools where children learn not only math and biology, but also mindfulness, listening, compassion. They inspired research on meditation, the impact of kindness on the brain, and the power of awareness to heal. And perhaps most beautifully, no one needed to win. Science didn't need to prove Buddhism right, and Buddhism didn't need to replace science. They met like two rivers, flowing back to the sea, dissolving separation, becoming one movement of life, quiet and vast. Science gives us a map, a precise, detailed map that helps us understand distant stars, quantum fields, how our brains respond to emotion or fear. But there are moments in life when you stand at a crossroads, holding the map in your hand, and still, you don't know which way to go. In that moment, You need something the map cannot show. You need an inner compass, not made of logic or facts, but of presence, of clarity, of stillness. And that is what spirituality offers. Spirituality doesn't give you pre-written answers. It invites you to return to your breath, to your body, to your footsteps, to your heart. A mindful step, a quiet breath, a moment of being fully present. That is your true compass. That is how you walk without getting lost. You don't need to understand the entire universe to love one person. You don't need to map consciousness to listen to someone crying. You only need to be present fully, gently, without judgment, and that no technology can do for you. The future of humanity may not lie in conquering more planets, but in touching more deeply the human heart. When compassion becomes a subject in our schools, when mindfulness enters hospitals, prisons, boardrooms, then science and spirituality will no longer be parallel paths. They will be two hands, one of wisdom, one of love, together, holding life. Scientific progress in physics, in neuroscience, in artificial intelligence will continue. And it is needed, but it is only the visible part. The deeper part, the silent, soft, invisible part is consciousness, compassion, presence. Without this, we may know everything and still feel empty. We may have all the answers, but not know how to live. We may hold the world in our hands, but not know how to hold ourselves. So the future we must build is not only a smarter future, but a future that knows how to love. A future where people learn not just how to speak well, but how to listen. Not just how to be efficient, but how to rest. Not just how to win, but how to pause and hold themselves like a crying child. Then, every invention will have a soul. Every piece of knowledge will carry warmth, and humanity will not just become more intelligent, but will finally come home to itself, gently, mindfully, and whole. You don't need to believe right away, and you don't need to reject anything either. Some truths don't arrive through thought. They reveal themselves only when you are truly still. Just sit down, do nothing, take a gentle breath, and look at a flower, not to name it, not to analyze it, just to see that it is here. And in this very moment, it may already be enough for happiness. Then, listen to a thought rising in your mind. Watch it come and watch it go, like a cloud drifting across the sky, untouched, ungrasped. Science and Buddhism may speak in different languages, but they both extend the same invitation. Live more deeply with life. Don't rush to conclude. Don't try to force reality into a fixed idea. Let things be as they are, and let yourself be as you are, in a heart as open as the sky. The sky does not choose between white clouds or grey ones. The sky simply opens and allows everything to pass through, naturally. If something in this video has gently touched you, a fresh thought, a quiet feeling, or just a moment of stillness, then you are warmly invited to keep practicing, keep listening, keep being present. This video is offered by TT Buddhism, a quiet space where the simple, deep insights of the Buddha are shared through the breath of daily life. We don't offer any final answers, only a humble invitation. Live, breathe, and see that reality is more wondrous than any concept. And perhaps that is already enough. Thank you for being here, for listening with your whole heart. Your presence is a beautiful part of this journey. We hope to meet you again, in another breath, in another moment of quiet insight.